people want more things to do, and therefore they are on the aggregators. They just like the flexibility of doing different things.
So there's a huge opportunity for franchises to come in and to be in this market. How we get to those people is truly tapping into their interest of making this a lifestyle choice.
Yes, setting lifestyle is the key word.
Okay, the fitness industry is definitely something that a lot of people want to do. Other than the F&B food franchise, and not everyone is interested in. I think this fitness thing is what a lot of working professionals are thinking about, right? You think like, okay, after work, I work so many hours, I go to the gym, I chill out, I heal from there, and maybe I could run a gym. And today we managed to get two people that had the same storyline, right? They're working professionals, they feel very jaded after work, and then they decide to do their own brand or run a franchise, and in some ways they managed to grow it to exit the corporate grind. So I think this particular episode, although recorded at TFC Business Show at the live stream, is very applicable to the Chills with TFC audience. So yeah, I'm excited to introduce you to two fellow entrepreneurs that were corporate grinds, and without further ado, let's go into the panel. Okay, welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Reggie, aka your Chief Financial Coconut. Now we are at the fitness, health, this whole pizzazz side of the business, right? It's like this active lifestyle, it's a thing, right?
It is.
So I'm joined with two great guests. You introduce yourself for our audience, and then we can go into the business and the whole trend and discussion.
Hi everyone, I'm Jasmine. I run Lab Studios. We have 6 studios in Singapore now. We do yoga, bar, Pilates, everything low impact. That's my space. Before this, I was in banking. I worked in banking until I decided that I was done with that life. Took a break.
That sounds like all our audience is a thing. Yeah.
Took a break for 6 months, decided to teach yoga while I was taking my break. That was my escape from work. And then taught yoga full time. 2 years into it, started a studio, and then it became a chain. And now here I am talking to you guys on the podcast.
And you're not at a franchise level yet, right? Everything
No.
is like
Principally
owner
held.
operated.
Yes,
And
that's
then
right.
you will kind of slowly get into that.
We are thinking, yes,
Okay,
slowly
okay.
maneuvering our way through that.
Okay, let's chat.
Yes, let's
and
chat.
Come, yes.
Yes, my name is Eugenio. I've been in Singapore now for over 12 years. When I came over to Singapore, it was actually in a corporate role. I was with a mining company working for them for several years. And all of a sudden, I found myself tired of the corporate life. What can I do here that will give me inspiration, something that I, at the same time, enjoy doing on a daily basis? And I thought, well, why not? I'm already working out on a daily basis in a gym. Why don't I make that my job as well?
Yeah, work in my gym.
Yes, exactly.
Wow.
So that's how I started, literally. And I did open my very first club in Topayo. And then more in the later part of the cycle, we started getting into the CBD areas. We have a lot of anytime fitness clubs currently also in CBD. But me personally, I expanded after Topayo 10 years ago into 3 more clubs, which is the ones that I currently own and operate. And further on, I went also into Philippines. So I'm currently just setting between the 2 countries and operating clubs here and operating clubs in the Philippines.
So you have 4 single franchise here. And then you're the master franchise in the Philippines?
Oh, no, I'm not the master. I'm a franchisee still in the Philippines as well, where I have currently 2 gyms open there and 2 more territories as well.
Okay, great. So why aren't you the master franchise over there? Like, why don't you do it big?
Maybe one day. Yes, one day. That's the goal ultimately.
Is that the anytime fitness model where you have to start as a single franchise, or how does it work?
Not necessarily you have to start as a franchisee. You can enter into anytime fitness in many different forms, but I do believe that that's the right way to start, right? You need to know yourself, what it's all about. And in fact, the master started in Woodlands with the very first club in 2012. And at that time, they needed to learn about the market. How does Singapore operate compared to other markets out there? And I do believe that's a very, very strong proposition to any franchisee who wants to enter, to understand how did the master franchisor do when they started off. There's a lot of aspects to that. The company structure, legals, etc., etc.
Yeah. Okay. Before we go into the fitness nitty gritty, how does business work? I mean, since both of you came from the corporate background, right? Like, why did you leave? Like tell me a little bit more that transition, because I think a lot of our audience are that type of people, right? 10, 20 years in the corporate grind, doing really well financially and all that, but feeling a little like empty, unfulfilled, jaded, a little bit of the energy, right? And that's kind of why they're thinking of like franchising or doing their own business. So like, where are we on that?
I didn't last 10 years. I lasted about 5. I was doing it from school. Typical Singaporean student. In college, we're told every summer is filled with a internship.
Oh my God, you're the internship people.
I was one of them. I was True Blue SMU rocks.
It must be SMU got this internship stacking game.
Yes, I was clocking internships summer after summer after summer. And then by the end of my university, I was actually so ready to get into the only thing I knew how to do, which was in banking. I was in the private banking world. I was kind of helping the relationship managers. So when I came out, that was the role that was offered to me. I kind of just went into it not thinking. And then 3 years into it, I started to think. It's so strange to say this, but I would say that for me as a student in Singapore, just going through that system, you never really stop to think. You have a goal and you hit the goal.
Go.
There is a target, you hit the target. And that's great. The system has built us to be people like this. But I got to a point where I'm just like, I'm so sick and tired of being sick and tired all the time.
So true.
I was not
Absolutely.
sleeping enough. I started to feel it within me where I would set a time for myself to feel everything I would feel. And then I would tell myself, stop feeling, continue to work. So I had that structure, even for like that feeling time, 12 to 1, that's when you feel, clean up, and then continue to smash through the day. Then it got to a point where I started to escape from work by teaching yoga on the weekends. And I came alive during the weekends. And my parents and my friends started telling me, this is you. Like, we feel like we're seeing you now. So I decided to take a break, just thinking maybe I can start to discover who I am a little bit more by teaching more yoga. So that was kind of how I took a leap of faith. But then when I tried to go back to banking, I was just like, oh, that time wasn't right. Maybe try start a studio. At that time, there was really no plan. It was just a why not? Let's see what happens kind of moment.
Great. I think that's a lot
A
of
bit of
candor there.
insanity.
And there's a lot of candor there. So how did you, yeah.
I mean, for me, it was also a leap of faith.
Yeah.
Just similarly, right? So when I was looking at this article on entrepreneur.com, I thought like, great idea, but at the end of the day, am I ready to put my whole eggs in one basket and put my life and everything that I built in the corporate world at that time, in the mining industry, in chemical industry, in corporate world, am I truly going to do this? So yes, the risk factor was there. And I called up my friends and I tried to convince them, can you please come on board with me? Like, let's do this
find
together.
a companion,
Our
right?
numbers.
Find a companion.
Which turns out can be a very wrong move, but that's another discussion.
Absolutely
another day.
true.
Yes.
Friends and family, as they say. Correct. Absolutely true.
Yeah.
But that's really how it started. And that's where I believe that entering into the whole spectrum of a franchise system truly helps. Because, yes, everyone talks about the proven model. Absolutely true. It's there. But suppose you are in a new market, and at that time, Singapore was a new market for Anytime Fitness. There wasn't really much benchmarking that you could do talking to many other franchisees already there because there were no Anytime Fitness clubs. So where they came in very handy was in finding other partners with similar experience, being already entrepreneurs for a long time, and those who could actually mentor me into entering into this new venture of Anytime Fitness or anything else, as a matter of fact. So the master at the time, when I spoke to them, they said, you know what, we have someone who's already interested in opening a gym of Anytime Fitness in Topayo. Maybe you can join forces. And that's where I also see a lot of value in coming in with a master.
Yeah.
The connections, the network, not just the operational parts. This is how I started. And literally, I was down on the road with my business partner, handling flyers to people around, say, do you want to come to the gym? It was a bit strange, if you want. It was like really thrown out there on the roads to do your own marketing. It was tough. I remember I had a lot of sweatshirts, like under the sun and in the heat. But it worked. It worked very well. And for me, coming from the corporate world, it was something completely new. but that I enjoyed.
Yeah.
I knew, obviously, that
Made you
was
feel
something
alive.
that I really, really liked, because it's not something that you want to keep for yourself. My fitness journey, I had lost a lot of weight. I became finally fit. Everything else in my life changed when I started working out. And I wanted to share that passion
Yes.
with people around me.
Yeah.
And sometimes people don't even know what they want. They just realize it when they're a bit forced into that. So it was really about passion and sharing my story with others.
Fair. Whether it's your own brand that you develop or a franchise that you participate in, there are some core processes in a fitness business. And for our audience that interested, maybe they go to the gym, maybe they do yoga, but they're unsure about like what is the kind of core processes to get a fitness business going. Maybe you could try to lay a ground for them, like do this, there's this. Yeah.
When I started, it was just one small gym. It was 1,200 square foot because it was going to be the lowest cost, because I didn't even know whether I was going to do this for real. I was just going to try it out. So we started with, first you need to get a space, right? You need to get a space, get the lease done, get your financial projections done. And that would include charting out how many classes you want to have in the space, what kind of classes you want to offer. Are you offering only, at least for my space, only group or with privates as well? And then the number of classes means how many teachers you have to hire. And are these going to be full-timers or are these going to be part-timers? And then with that, you can then chart out the salary that you're going to pay. And that's just the teaching portion. That's your whole product side. And then you have the operations where you're talking about facility management. Back in the days when I first started, everything was me, right? I was the teacher. I was the facility manager. I was the cleaner. It was all in, everything.
Jump all in.
Yes, I love that. But with the bigger setup, you have facilities, risk management as well for accidents, your insurance, and then HR. Singapore, you have all of the HR policies. You're someone who's just doing your payroll, marketing. Marketing is a big chunk, I think, in Singapore fitness industry. Marketing is how are you planning to market? Are you marketing in-house? Are you marketing with an agency? Are you hiring someone? I think that would be the first few building blocks I would think of.
Yeah, I can clearly tell you've done this
Yeah.
on your own, like this.
Yes.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit more about the insurance part of things.
So there will be like public liability insurance that you need to buy. Whenever you have a space, you need to cover yourself for like accidents and death. And then we also think about your workforce insurance. When your teachers get injured, what happens? When your students get injured, is covered by public liability. When your teachers get injured, it's a workplace insurance. And then on top of that, of course, is the benefits that you want to give to your staff. Is it going to be a corporate insurance, or is it a more creative way of covering the teachers on the
creative way. Okay, that's a different discussion. Okay,
Yes.
okay, fair. Tell me a little bit more about the marketing piece of the game, right? Because I don't think anybody should start a yoga studio now, right? Maybe when you first started, a few years back, it was like the boom, right?
Yeah.
Everyone was kind of riding onto it. Now it's everywhere. There's
It
so many
is.
different
It
sizes,
is very
different
saturated.
price point, and all that,
Yeah.
right? So not saying you should do it, but just on that note, like, how does marketing look like, in getting people to sign up for your program and all
Is
that?
a beast.
Yeah.
It is a beast, and it accounts for about, based on like how gyms get leads. 37% is usually from your word of mouth referrals. 28% social media. So that is a good 30% of your business coming in from a single engine, which is social media. A lot of founders, a lot of one person owned yoga studio, bar studio, Pilates studio, they have no time to bother about the social media piece. Even if I have time, what do I do on it? It's changing every other day. Instagram hasn't decided what they want to be. They're just kind of following. Everybody is following. To think about this, I think that would, for me, that would be the biggest thing I think about to do a franchise rather than start my own brand. Because the brand is already there and someone else has already figured it out and you're riding on that marketing. When I first started Yoga Lab, I didn't start Yoga Lab because I had nothing to back up on. I had 100K people on Instagram. I had a yoga account and I was just doing yoga, and somehow 100,000 people want to watch me do yoga. So I had that as a base. I opened my first shop. Everybody instantly knew. And that was when I knew that this thing, this square grid of Instagram is powerful. I didn't spend a single cent on marketing for the first 18 months. It was all through Instagram, and good and bad, because of that success, I never learned how to do SEM, SEO, ads. It was just on Instagram, but it helped me build 3 outlets. and we were constantly booked out.
Wow.
Even up until now, Instagram is still so relevant. But to now be a content creator, to be on Instagram, is no longer just taking pretty photos.
Expectations are different.
It is so different. You are a video editor, you need to be a dancer, sometimes you need to be the best comedian, you need to have like different ways of doing your content. So right now in my team, I have 3 people just brainstorming and looking at Instagram to catch trends and then film. And last time we used to plan 6 months in advance. Really? Forget it. You plan 6 months in advance, that trend then and the trend now, completely different. We plan 3 weeks rolling. And it's crazy. We're just rolling every 3 weeks. But there is a baseline of what people are looking for when they go onto Instagram for fitness. And if you can catch that and you can catch your niche market, like who are you speaking to, who are your audiences, and you create for them, then it becomes a lot
So what are people
easier.
looking for then?
My crowd, women between 20s, 30s, 40s. We are speaking specifically to women in this space. And some of them are looking to build strength. Some of them are looking to become more flexible. Some of them just need a mental space for themselves. So when we create conversations, we need to be able to relate to the need. From that need, come out with a solution and relate it back to the business. We are offering what you need, basically.
I know
that's
you
it.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, welcome to the Financial Coconut Podcast Network. I'm your host, Reggie, aka your Chief Financial Coconut. And if you're loving what we're creating here, like, share, subscribe, share with your loved ones, comment in the comment section below. And yeah, we'll see you for great content on Chills with TFC. But the last 30%, you were saying like 37% word of mouth, 28% social media. What is the last?
It's a mix, yeah. Like, on the road flyers, stuff like that.
Because
ads.
there are all these like fitness app aggregators. They will go around and try to onboard, a lot of house brands or
Yes.
franchises
Yes.
on them.
Yeah.
And do those things work?
ClassPass?
Yeah, and the likes of yeah.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of an evolution of the whole marketing strategies for so many brands out there, and especially in the fitness industry
Yeah.
itself. I remember 10 years ago when we started, it was truly based on flyering.
Flyering.
And, it was
Physical,
like
hard
the
copy.
physical handing in of.
Yes.
And it's changed dramatically. Absolutely true. What you were just saying earlier, like getting to the social media is completely different. And you need to understand the needs and the wants of the audience. And that audience keeps changing those needs and wants.
Yeah.
So I've seen this
Constantly.
shift happening, right? And you've probably seen this as well. Even over the past 2 years, post-pandemic or during the pandemic, everyone was on their app looking for virtual personal training sessions, group classes, etc. Then going back to the gyms, to the fitness studios.
And what are they
their
looking for now?
expectations, yes, and their expectations were completely different than
Shifted.
what they expected pre-pandemic.
Could you elaborate on that?
I do remember, at the time when you were talking to people about fitness, you were talking to people about gyms. People had in their mind, okay, maybe this is an Arnold Schwarzenegger type of gym that we want to go to and get buffed, Long ago, this has changed, obviously. Now, I believe that in Singapore, the penetration rate of memberships per population, how many people as a percentage have a gym membership, is still in the single digits.
Oh,
So the opportunity is immense, is huge. We keep saying, there's so many fitness centers, there's so many gyms around, how it's crowded place.
Yeah.
But in reality, if you look at it, the market is still growing. So there's a huge opportunity for franchises to come in and to be in this market. But when we talk about marketing, how we get to those people is truly tapping into their interest of making this a lifestyle choice.
Yes, I think lifestyle is the key word.
And that's where, in my case, for example, I have geared towards that aspect of
Yeah.
the fitness
Yeah.
that we want to go to. So the idea is, yes, obviously there is a very large of our population in the gym that is in their 20s or early 30s. But we started looking at also those in those 40s, 50s.
Yes.
The older generation, and they are also there to learn and figure out how can they make these a lifestyle choice. So to us, that's very important.
I think two definitely trends that we see changing. Fitness used to be either a fit person or I'm not a fit person. Now there is more allowance for in between, or rather now it's okay to be, I go to the gym but I'm not fit.
I don't need to
It's
go
okay.
5 days.
Yes.
I could go
Yes.
3, 2, right?
It used to be all or nothing. Now
Yeah.
there's kind of like an in between, and that is
Interesting. It opens up a market.
that's a trend that I'm starting to see. Another trend that we're seeing also is kind of like a shift of the mindset of fitness. Maybe it's the pandemic, right? But we can't really pinpoint as to when that happened. It used to be I'm working out because I want to look a certain way. I want to have six packs, you know? Now I am working out because I'm taking care of myself. A more holistic approach of what it means to feel better. Like the whole wellness piece has come up.
I want to dig a little bit into that, right? So let's say we just use numbers, right? Between not gymming and 5-day gymming, or not yogaing, 5-day yogaing, now it's like a 2-3 day yogaing.
Yeah.
It's also okay,
Yeah,
right?
that's okay,
So,
yeah.
so is it a situation of the people that are doing 5 days scaling down, or are we seeing more people that are doing 0 days entering? Because that changes the business model altogether.
I think both, you know. The 5 days people now, for the last 2 to 3 years, I think Singapore has had seen an explosion of the options you can get in Singapore. It used to be like 8 years ago when I started, you'd only have yoga around and maybe gym.
Yeah.
So if you want to do something for 5 days, it's yoga and gym, right? Now you have Pilates, you have boxing, you have everything, anything, even like snowboarding. I think you can even do that trifecta, right? So the 5 days people now are looking for more modalities. So no one thing kind of determines the person's lifestyle anymore. Or rather, when we're thinking of marketing, you cannot fit people into boxes like, oh, this person is a gym person. They're no longer just a complete gym person. They are a person who does gym, but there is something else on the side as well.
Yeah.
So I think that truly is the most significant shift. The multi-modality model is very, very important now.
But it does make the business harder, right?
It does if you are a single modality. I think increasingly you will start to see that consumers are looking for more, which is why our class aggregators are showing up to be the option that allows for flexibility and accessibility, because it allows them different types of
Exactly.
movements. And that's a trend that if you are honest with yourself, it is not exactly new. It has happened.
Yeah.
It started since pre-COVID, but COVID made it even more because then the internet was my teacher. And on the internet, every virtual class came in. Suddenly, from just doing yoga, I'm now doing all sorts of workout that is available.
Yeah.
My mind has opened. So it's up to the businesses to really catch it and decide, what do you want to do about that?
Yeah, so that's a question I want to ask, right? Like, if you see these aggregators as like a growing market share, like in terms of funneling audience to you, is that like a basis to see it?
I think with class aggregators, there's no right or wrong way to think about
Of course,
it.
yeah.
I see them as a partner. I didn't used to see them as a partner. I saw them
Because
as
they
a
take a cut
competitor.
and everything, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But at this point, I see them as a partner because there has also been adjustment as to how they approach partners. And right now with the system that they have, it's very dynamic. It's truly allowing new people to try the gyms. But I do have to say that the conversion is, don't dream about the conversion.
So you don't dream of somebody that is using an aggregator coming into you and convert.
But having said that, because we have added more modalities, so we used to be yoga only, and then we have bar now, and then we have Pilates, and we are adding one more modality. As we start to add, we are also seeing people switch. Because what we have realized is people want more things to do, and therefore they are on the aggregators, not because they necessarily like the aggregator. They just like the flexibility of doing different things.
Yeah,
Yes.
I agree. I get it. Okay, that is very, very cool. Yeah, so with that as part of the discussion, right, then we've kind of laid the ground on how things are changing. Now I want to know the price, right? What does it take to do an Anytime Fitness franchise? What is the cost today? Maybe if you don't mind sharing, how much do you pay at first? You know, like how has it changed over time? You know what I mean? Right? Because when you first start, it's probably a lot easier, and then you become a reputable brand, you adjust your fees. I think that's kind of normal, right?
That's very normal indeed.
So like, how has it changed and where is it now?
Currently, where we stay is a point in time where we talk about Singapore, where it's already a very mature market. Right, so we are still expanding. We are building more Anytime Fitness gyms in Singapore, but there's also more territories, more countries out there, Malaysia, Indonesia, Philippines, that are still growing very fast. Now, you want to become a franchisee of Anytime Fitness. Typically speaking, we are talking about an initial franchise fee. That is the one that allows you basically to enter into the business, having the name of Anytime Fitness for X amount of years. And then there's royalties as well that you will be paying as you go. We want to make it feasible for people to have different backgrounds to enter into the business. So there's a lot of support in terms of the fees that we can, working with banks and different partners out there, making it possible for also those who do not have maybe the financial capability to start it on their own. Truth to be said, is a very cash intensive type of business compared to others. Like for example, in an F&B, right?
Yeah, because those equipments are expensive. Like even I try to buy on Shopee, it's like, oh my God, this is so expensive.
Exactly.
And you have a whole place filled with them, right? So your CapEx investment should be quite high.
It's quite high. That's where financial institutions come in place, helping us out. And those collaborations with vendors, gym equipment suppliers, distributors are extremely important. That's where having a master franchisor helping you out in those decision making is extremely important. So the good thing in terms of Anytime Fitness is that we do see a break-even point in very, very early stages as soon as basically you open.
Is there a number?
We have seen even break-even point on month 1 or 2. We're not talking about ROI. We're talking about break-even point. It's a bit different, right?
Based on membership signed up, right?
Purely on EBITDA perspective, right? So the break-even point is not even difficult to achieve very, very early stage. ROIs also we are talking about in the frame of 1, 2, 3 years maximum. So that is feasible. It's just that it's a very cash-intensive business where to enter, you do need to have, most of the cases, the support of the master franchisor with those connections, that network with the financial institutions. So to get ready for that, what I did and what I recommend any franchisee out there, you need to make very sure you understand the model. You talk to your master franchisor in the details of what it entails to become a franchisee, set clear expectations from the very beginning and prepare yourself a little bit with at least the basic knowledge of financial terms, accounting, because it's going to serve you very, very well. Yeah, for sure.
They are sick and tired of that. That's why they want to jump out. Okay, but just on the size of the space, I think that's also a big part of the cost. Like, how big is the size if I want to run Anytime Fitness?
The beauty of this is that we started with spaces that were even very small, like 2,000 square feet, and we ramp up to 8,000 square feet. One of my clubs in Tampines, in fact, is 8,000 plus. But you can perfectly run it in the range of 2,000 to 5,000 square feet. We know very well that Singapore is an expensive place to do business. And when we are talking about retail, obviously, in good location, it's all about location at the end of the day. It's extremely important also having those relationships with real estate agencies that can truly help you mapping out the different demographics that you are targeting. And that's where the beauty of Singapore comes in with all the available statistics.
Yeah, but I think the beauty of the Anytime Fitness model, although you need 2,000 square feet, right? You need it at a super non-prime area. An area where the rental will be like maybe $3. And because the audience in themselves are looking for that as an offering, right? You don't need to price compete too much.
Yeah, I think it's a different, because with Anytime Fitness, there's a lot of equipment.
Yeah.
Right, with yoga and with bar.
Yeah. It's only that, right? It's a lot of training. It's a lot of
training. So you would think of fitness franchise as the same, but actually within fitness franchise, there's a lot of different offering. What are you getting from your franchisor as a franchisee? When you pay the fee, what are you receiving? And I think that piece needs to be very well documented. And I would imagine for a brand like ours, it's a lot more about the product. How is your product winning over another brand's product? Because it's so crowded in this space.
It's true, it's true. So I want to ask a little bit about ActiveSG, right? There was a period of time when ActiveSG was very underfunded, right? So the gym looks like shit, right? And then open up a whole space for private gym providers. They're not like top tier, expensive, pure, that type of stuff, right? So everybody is kind of like mass market, but good quality, right? But ever since you guys entered the market, over the course of so many years, ActiveSG gyms now look amazing. Do you see that kind of eating your market share? Is it kind of becoming a stress point on your end? Are you guys trying to do more to stay relevant in a change public health and wellness market?
So the demands and the offering out there has completely changed. It's true. You can look at a gym setting as basically gym equipment and basically the same gym equipment, same brands in different outlets. But indeed, you're right. The competition is fierce. There's a lot of offering out there. So how do you differentiate yourself from the others? And I think it rolls back to what you were talking about earlier. You need to understand that people are looking at a more holistic offering from the gym. It doesn't stop with just offering gym
A space.
equipment.
It's not just a
and,
space. Yeah.
good luck. You go into the space, you're on your own. The idea is that nowadays, you enter in a gym, you want to have at least someone helping you out, understanding how to work out, how to do recovery, and in certain circumstances, even mental wellness is taken care of. So it's that approach that can really truly differentiate yourself as a brand from the rest of the competition.
So how is Anytime Fitness solving this? How are you doing this?
This is happening nowadays with a lot of digitalization. So the offering we have also through our apps, offering basically programs that you have available at your fingertips. So when you come into the gym, you have at least a programming in place that you have built with your trainer, offering as, for example, many Anytime Fitness outlets do the complimentary classes, group classes that are completely free of charge for our members.
Oh wait, Anytime Fitness have classes these
Yes.
days? Oh.
Many classes that are
Okay.
already part of your membership. So it depends which outlet and branch you go to, but you can find from Pilates, yoga, HIIT, you can find everything you like. The idea is that there must be a little bit of everything for everyone.
Essentially what modality is, right?
that
Like the
modality.
multimodality.
How do you keep motivated, right? So people can get tired of the same space over time. If they can go elsewhere and experience and experiment a little bit something different, they will keep engaged. But it needs to take a very proactive approach from our business to go out there to the members, talk to them, understand what they want, because not one single member has the same needs, requirements as the other. And that's extremely important.
Okay, that is good. Thank you for sharing as much as you can.
Yeah.
We hope to dig more as we
Okay.
go along. Maybe in closing, is there any last things you want to share with our working professionals that are thinking of, being part of this whole health and wellness space, whether it's a franchise, probably not doing your own brand, participating with you someday, like any other last things you want to share with them?
From my side, I would say that when you want to enter into a franchise type of business, do your research, be prepared to be vested not only financially, but also with your time into the business. Sometimes there's this misconception that you just go into a franchise because you put your money in, you can forget about it and it will run on its own. It doesn't work that way in most of the scenarios. You need to be involved and invested, not just with the money, but with your passion, with your time. This is essential because it can make or break the business in many circumstances.
Can you give me a tangible idea? What does that mean in action?
In my space where I started, I was vested 100% into this. So I ran my gyms, I was there every day. Nowadays it's different. What it does offer is, over time, scalability. That's something that you cannot possibly get so easily if you are on your own. Not impossible. We have great example of how this worked very well for you. But for many others out there, they don't have the capacity, they don't have the tools. This is an opportunity for them to scale and own multiple units in even different markets. But that comes in after you have proven yourself with your first 2-3 clubs out there.
After you sort out the first one, second one, third one, kind of still quite hands-on, right? Essentially, you get to a space. Okay, great. Any last things from you?
for anyone maybe thinking about corporate versus doing your own thing, I did the all or nothing, but it doesn't have to be all or nothing as well. There is still a very high possibility where you could be thinking about exploring something that you're interested in, if it's fitness, perhaps owning a gym, and then exploring having a team that supports you, that runs the gym, while you have a taste of something outside of the corporate life. Yeah, because that all or nothing mentality, I mean, it's great that we did it and we just went all in, but there could be ways to
In
go around
retrospect,
it.
it is very risky.
It was. And it was crazy.
Crazy, it's crazy. I get it.
I wouldn't do it again.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
if
I
I'm
know.
thinking about what I would do now, if I was 15 years into corporate, would I still do the same thing? I would give it a lot more thought now that I have a 4-year-old as well, right? But would I still want to be part of health and wellness? For sure I would. Then I'm thinking of how do I make it sustainable? What kind of franchise do I need to be part of that allows me to be part of that and still have a work that's stable and supports my business and my family without having me to give it all up?
Great. That's a great ending. Thank you for your time. Take care. Bye.